You work out 5 days a week. You track your calories. You are doing everything right, and the scale refuses to move. The problem is not your metabolism. The problem is invisible. Your body is quietly erasing the calorie deficit you think you created, and you have no idea it is happening. Here is the fat loss mistake everyone makes. When you finish a workout, your brain registers it as a major energy event. You burned calories. You worked hard. You deserve to eat. And this is where everything starts to unravel. Because what follows is not a conscious decision to overeat. It is a subconscious recalibration of your entire day that systematically neutralizes the deficit you just created. This happens in two ways. You eat more than you realize, and you move less than you think. Let's start with the eating side. Research using gold standard measurement techniques shows that people underestimate their calorie intake by an average of 10 to 20%. But in individuals struggling with weight loss, that underestimation jumps to nearly 50%. One study tracked people who claimed to be eating fewer than 1,200 calories per day but were not losing weight. When researchers measured their actual intake using metabolic markers and body composition analysis, these individuals were consuming over 2,000 calories per day. They were off by more than 1,000 calories, not because they were lying, because they genuinely could not perceive how much they were eating. And it gets worse after exercise. Multiple studies show that people drastically overestimate how many calories they burn during a workout. One study found that after vigorous exercise, overweight individuals overestimated their calorie burn by 72%. They thought they burned nearly twice as many calories as they actually did. Then, when asked to eat a meal equivalent to what they burned, they overestimated the calorie content by 37%. They were wrong on both ends. They thought they earned more than they did. Then they ate more than they thought. But here is the part that surprises most people. Even when food intake does not increase dramatically, compensation still happens through a psychological mechanism called licensing. When exercise is framed as hard work or as burning calories, people unconsciously give themselves permission to eat more energy-dense foods afterward. One study had participants take a 30-minute walk. Half were told it was exercise. The other half were told it was a scenic, fun walk. The group that believed they exercised consumed significantly more calories from indulgent foods afterward. Same walk, same energy expenditure. Different frame, different intake. Your brain is calculating permission to eat based on perceived effort, not actual energy burned, and that perception is almost always inflated. Now let's talk about the movement side, because even if you perfectly control your food intake after a workout, your body has another trick. It reduces your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, that is, every calorie you burn outside of formal exercise. Walking to your car, taking the stairs, fidgeting, standing instead of sitting, all the small movements that accumulate throughout the day. NEAT is not trivial. It can account for hundreds to even 2,000 calories per day, depending on your lifestyle and occupation. It is one of the largest sources of variability in total daily energy expenditure between people of the same size. And research shows that NEAT often decreases after structured exercise. You sit more. You take the elevator instead of the stairs. You drive instead of walk. You choose the closer parking spot. These are not conscious decisions. Your body is conserving energy to restore balance. One analysis found that in many exercise interventions designed for weight loss, the actual weight lost was significantly less than predicted based on the calorie deficit created by exercise alone. The shortfall was explained by compensatory reductions in NEAT and increases in energy intake. Some individuals compensated for 100% of the calories burned. They worked out. They burned 300 calories. And by the end of the day, through eating slightly more and moving slightly less, their total energy balance was unchanged. The workout became metabolically irrelevant. And this is not a failure of willpower. This is biology. Your body has regulatory systems designed to defend energy balance. When you increase energy expenditure through exercise, homeostatic and hedonic pathways are activated to restore equilibrium. Hunger increases. Satiety decreases. Motivation to move spontaneously drops. The drive to seek energy-dense, rewarding foods goes up. These are not conscious thoughts. These are deeply embedded survival mechanisms that evolved to prevent starvation. Your body does not know you are trying to get leaner. It thinks you are in an energy crisis, and it responds accordingly. The variability between people is enormous. Some individuals are what researchers call high compensators. After exercise, they instinctively eat more and move less to a degree that nearly offsets the calorie burn. Other people are low compensators. Their intake and activity patterns remain relatively stable. Daily diary studies tracking real-world behavior over weeks show this clearly. On exercise days versus non-exercise days, some people consume larger portions, more frequent meals, or gravitate toward higher calorie foods without realizing it. The compensation is subtle, but consistent enough to prevent fat loss over time. And the type of exercise matters. Higher intensity exercise and longer duration sessions tend to produce greater compensatory responses, not because they burn fewer net calories, but because they trigger stronger hunger signals and a more pronounced drive to rest afterward. Your body perceives these sessions as more threatening to energy balance and reacts more aggressively. This does not mean high-intensity exercise is bad. It means you need to be more vigilant when your training is harder. So what do you do about it? First, track honestly. Not what you think you ate, what you actually ate. Weigh your food. Log everything. People who successfully lose weight and keep it off tend to have much more accurate perceptions of their calorie intake than people who struggle. That accuracy is not genetic, it is learned, and it requires deliberate effort because your brain is wired to underestimate. Second, do not eat back your exercise calories unless you are genuinely hungry and your goal is performance or muscle gain, not fat loss. Most calorie trackers and fitness devices overestimate calorie burn. If you burned 300 calories according to your watch and then eat 300 extra calories, you are likely in a surplus, not maintenance. Third, stay aware of your NEAT. After a hard workout, resist the urge to collapse for the rest of the day. Keep moving, take walking breaks, stand more. The small stuff matters, it adds up, and it is exactly what your body will try to quietly reduce when you are not paying attention. Fourth, monitor your actual results, not your perceived effort. Weigh yourself consistently, track measurements, take progress photos. If the scale is not moving over multiple weeks, despite what you believe is a deficit, the deficit does not exist. The numbers do not lie. Your perception does. Adjust your intake downward or increase activity until you see movement. Fat loss is not just about burning calories. It is about defending the deficit long enough for your body to actually use stored energy. And that requires you to outsmart compensatory mechanisms designed to protect you from losing weight. Awareness is the first step. Measurement is the second. Consistency is the third. The workout is not the hard part. The hard part is everything that happens after. Subscribe for more evidence-based content that explains why the obvious strategies do not always work and what actually does.